lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and also check out my description box for the Etsy shop where you can submit a custom request. I am filming a beautiful Christmas set for one of my clients, so I wanted to go ahead and film this tutorial for you guys. Here is an insert of my client's inspiration picture, as well as all of the gel polishes I will be using today, and they are all by Beetles. I am starting out with buff nail tips, and they have been base coated. These are my Una Gela nail tips in the shape extra long square. And I am going to be using two different nude colors for this set. I am starting to run out of some of my favorite nudes, so I had to improvise and kind of mix two just to make sure that they are the bright color nude as the inspiration picture, but also making sure that those nails get full coverage. And of course, I was watching my Tubi Christmas movies, you guys. You know I had to. I think this time I watched Christmas with a Princess. I think that's what it was called. If you guys recall, I was watching movies called Christmas with a Prince. So this was kind of like the female version of those movies. But still very much entertaining. You know, it helped me get through the set, and yeah, and it just really put me in the Christmas spirit. This set was so pretty. I was so happy to get this inspiration picture because they were long nails and it's just Christmas themed. But anyway, I am just trying to make sure that those nails are getting the full coverage and they're not looking translucent. Also, just making sure that the polish is nice and smooth. Your foundation is the most important part. If you don't have a smooth foundation, you are going to hate the nail set because your art is not going to look right. The shape isn't going to look right, you know, so you have to really make sure that you're smoothing out that gel polish, especially for me because I use builder gel for my nudes and my base colors. So yeah, I was just really working it, making sure that, you know, these long nails are all even and nice and smooth. So now I am going to be taking my 12mm liner brush and my white gel polish, and I am going to start creating my French tip. I like to draw a line down the middle and then connect my C line to that line down the middle, just to make sure that, you know, I'm getting everything nice and even and the French tip is symmetrical. But yeah, I'm just taking my time filling in that color with the liner brush, and I am going to cure. I also am going to take a little bit of acetone and clean up those lines. When I do take my acetone, I like to use a damp to dry brush. That way nothing is leaking onto the paint, and when I put it into the lamp, it wrinkles. And because these nails were so long, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds at least twice, just to make sure that all of my polishes were nice and dry. You know, you just gotta take precaution with longer nails. And so now I'm going to repeat that step on the ring finger. I do like to start my French tip at the top of the middle of the nail, if that makes sense. So when I draw that line down the middle, I try and get it right to the middle of the nail, and then I connect my C shape right underneath that line. I think it looks the prettiest when a French tip starts right at the middle. Some people prefer to just be very thin, very little, and right at the top. But especially when you're doing longer nails, you want to make sure that it is noticeably a French tip. It just looks better that way. But yeah, pro tip, when you are creating your press-on nails on a stand that can hold multiple nails, just make sure that you are taking your time and being very careful, because you don't want to get any paint on the other nails and then cure it in the lamp, and then, you know, you have to drill it off, and it's just a lot. So yeah, just take your time, look at your French tips from every direction, make sure that they are even, and most importantly, make sure that you're keeping your paint on the nail that it's supposed to be on. And then as always, I'm going to go over that paint with the brush from the bottle just to make sure that that color is nice and solid and there are no streaks. So now I'm just going to take my red gel polish and I'm just measuring the French tip with my brush just to make sure that they are all even. If you were paying attention, you saw me like kind of hover over the white French tip before I place the dot of red on the other nail, just to make sure I'm placing that line equal to the other French tips. But I was really loving this color. This gel polish has glitter in it. I don't know if you guys can tell on the camera, but it was so pretty and so glittery. Like, it was just giving me those Christmas vibes. I was loving it. I was like, ooh, this is eating. This set is eating, honey. But yep, just repeating the same steps, looking at my French tip from every direction and just trying to make it as even as possible. Believe it or not, you guys, this set took me 2 days. Not because it was just like overly hard or anything, but you know, I do a lot. I work, I go to school, you know, so I got this order in the middle of the week and I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to work on it when I get off of work. And then, you know, so I did the first night, you know, did all the white French tips and the base color and the shaping and everything. And then the second day, I did the red French tips and I finished. So yeah, that's just reality of a small business owner. You know, sometimes you gotta work a 9 to 5 so that, you know, you can invest into your business. So yeah, I don't know why I felt the need to tell you guys that. But now I am going to do the same thing and I'm just going to take that ruby red with all the glitter and I'm going to go over my French tips just to make sure that color is nice and solid, it's not streaky, and it's just, you know, popping out. As you can see, I got a little bit of red on the white French tip. I started freaking out. I was like, please don't turn pink, but it didn't. And this is what I mean. You got to be careful with a multiple nail stand because mistakes happen, you know. But you just got to pay attention and be careful and clean it up. Okay, and now for my favorite part, I'm going to start taking my dotting tool and my white gel polish, and I'm taking the biggest side of my dotting tool and I am just making dots. So I did one big dot down the middle, 2 dots above, 2 dots below, 2 dots on each side, and then I'm taking my liner brush and I'm pulling from that big middle dot out, and I'm just tracing all of the dots to create my snowflake. I'm telling you, like, this set ate, y'all. Like, I shocked myself with this set. I was like, whoa, like, I might just be that girl for real. But now I'm taking the smaller side of my dotting tool and I am just putting little dots all around the snowflake to kind of like mimic snow. And I am going to repeat those steps onto the pinky nail. So now I'm going to take my 12mm liner brush and my white gel polish, and I'm going to start creating a candy cane design. I'm just going from one side of the nail to the other, but I'm making sure those lines are nice and elongated and slanted. You know, they're not just going straight across. They kind of have like a squiggle to them, if that makes sense. I really wanted to make sure that it gave candy cane, you know what I mean? So I was going to go on the other side with swirls, but I was like, no, that doesn't look right. So I took it off and I just made sure that they were kind of all going the same direction. And I'm pretty happy with that decision. I think it looked good. So now I'm going to take my matte gel polish and I am going to go over all of the nails. My client did want her nails to be matte. This matte gel polish is by Model Ones. I use all of their top coats and base coats. I love them so much. I think that they're nice and shiny. Yeah, so I'm just going over all of the nails, and then I did cure for 60 seconds 2 times. So now I'm going to take my white gel polish and I'm just going to start creating a sweater design onto the white French tips. So I did about 6 lines, each are 6 lines on the side of each other, and then I connected the opposite sides together, and then I did 2 lines on the side of that design and did little lines going on the top. I don't know if that made sense, you guys. I think it would make more sense with you just watching. But yeah, so I am dumping white glitter on top of that and then curing, and then once it comes out of the lamp, I like to dust the glitter off. Most people do this with acrylic, but I do not use acrylic, so I like to use glitter, and I think that ate because why not? It's glitter. But here is the finished look, lovelies. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also check out the Etsy shop link down below where you can submit a custom request.